Harrison Jr., the final number is 5 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown, Jody. He broke free behind the secondary in the fourth quarter. If Kyler puts that ball on the money, which he should have, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s numbers look a lot more gaudy. I mean, we're talking about
adding 97 yards and another touchdown.
Let's just call it an even 100, right? Add about 100 yards to the receiving total and double the touchdown production. But I think much was made in the offseason about Marvin Harrison Jr. You know, Jody, you looked at his stats cosmetically last year. They were okay.
Yeah.
I referenced this on the pregame show on Sunday. They were actually better in many regards than Larry Fitzgerald's rookie year statistics.
8 touchdowns
at the wide receiver mark.
Impressive.
And was it like 8? I mean, this is off the top of my head. Was it like 850 yards or something?
Yeah, about eight something.
846 or something like that.
But you had to really watch. If you watched each game as a Cardinals fan, you really saw his impact and lack of chemistry.
And getting beaten by I think the physicality. I remember, it's the Patriots? Was it Christian Gonzalez?
Gonzalez.
He got outfit, and I realized, he's a really good player, like one of the better corners, I think. Getting out physicaled by DBs is something that needed to get better, right? It needs to be a battle that you win more than you lose. And last year, he was targeted, it was about half, right? He was targeted 120 times and he caught about 60. And that's,
put it this way, his catch percentage, there were 96 eligible wide receivers who had 50 or more targets in the league. 96. In terms of his catch percentage, you know where Harrison Jr. ranked? 91st.
I figured it was low.
I mean, it was about the worst in the league. So
he's better than that. He just is.
You're talking about a young man who I don't think at Ohio State had to make many contested catches because he was so much better than the guys that were trying to cover him Saturday in and Saturday out. And I think in the NFL, he found out that, you're never really open. Sometimes you got to go out and you got to go up and you got to get it. And we saw at least signs of that, I think, on Sunday. That was very good to see. The contested catch down the sideline. Wasn't really a 50-50 ball, but he had somebody on him, and he was able to make the grab. Jarrett used the word impact, and I totally agree. It's not so much the stats, and that's why I said cosmetically the stats last year look good. For me, Marvin Harrison Jr., his impact on winning football games week in and week out was not what the expectations were when you drafted him number 4. The expectations are this year he's going to make that jump, right? He's going to put on weight. He did. He's going to put on muscle. He did. We know he's fast. We know he has hands. We know he has the prototypical size to be one of the best in the biz. And I think in week 1, we saw a bit of a jump. The question is, did Jonathan Gannon see that same jump that we all think we saw?
Absolutely. And you know what? Like some of his best, and we missed him a couple times too, but I think that some of his best snaps, he didn't even get the ball. And that's not like a slight on Kyler or anybody. Like he wasn't the first in the progression, or maybe the coverage dictated to go somewhere else with the ball. But I really liked his play speed, his play style. Honestly, you guys, I thought the 3rd and 10 was probably his best play, better than the explosive and better than obviously than the touchdown. The 3rd, we're backed up in the well with like 8 and change left, inside the 5. It's 3rd and 10. We throw a slant. He wins on the slant. He knows Justin Reed's going to try to pound him there. He puts his head down, finishes going forward, gets us the first down. We ended up having to punt there, but we're not backed up. We take off 4.5 minutes off the clock, and they're backed up. Like that was a huge play.
Yeah, and that's a great example of what Jonathan Gannon's talking about there. It was a catch that didn't result in points. It was way deep in Cardinals territory, but it moved the chains, and it allowed the Cardinals to kind of get out of a hole, but also chew up the clock, which was important in terms of winning that football game on Sunday, Jody. So when I talk about impact on winning, that's a great example of that. Marvin Harrison, we could talk about the touchdown, the big sideline grab, but that play right there had a big role in terms of the Cardinals finishing that football game. So Marvin Harrison Jr. for 4 quarters impacted the football game in a positive way and helped the Cardinals ultimately win a football game on Sunday.
Yeah, and do we not just view him differently? Because I do. I feel like I view him as a more trusted target this year already. And that's just because of what I've seen in the offseason and just having a year under your belt. And maybe that was the case later in the year last year too. But I feel like last year, that first year, guys are swimming a little bit. And I felt like he was in that category. And I think he needed to catch his breath. And he even said in an interview earlier this last week, pre-week 1 interview, is that I think someone asked him, like, what was the most surprising thing last year? He said, just how long it is, how long the season is. And in all the things you mentioned, the weight, putting on the weight, putting on the muscle, we're seeing all of that. And I think to JG's point, there's so much more there. And Kyler, I think that is going to put the onus on Kyler. Hey, be looking for, this is not rookie Marv now. This is a guy you need to look for, you need to go to. And much like Larry Fitzgerald was for so many years for both Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer, right? Like, throw it up and he's going to get it. Or just know that he's going to be open.
And Marvin Harrison has to prove that if you throw it up, he's going to go get it.
There's still a little bit of proving there, but yeah.
And that's going to be another step here in year 2 when we see him have an opportunity to make a 50-50 catch. The other thing is, I think the chemistry and the connection with Kyler Murray wasn't where it needed to be. That was almost obvious by watching them, especially on the back shoulder fades last year, which they never seemed to connect on. But just kind of reading between the lines, did you hear what Kyler said prior to the game during his weekly media availability in terms of their connectivity being better this year? Said he thought Marvin Harrison Jr. was afraid of him as a rookie. So in other words, when I hear that, that means those guys weren't talking that much in the locker room. There wasn't a relationship being fostered and manicured off the field. They were obviously out there throwing the football to each other back and forth in practice and whatnot and getting their reps. But when I hear Kyler say he thought Marvin was afraid of him, maybe those conversations and that chemistry wasn't where it needed to be, kind of off the field, which would then manifest itself on the field, presumably.
I think you're right. And I have to laugh because, and I think Lorenzo Alexander made the point last week, is like, okay, but Kyler's a quiet guy too. So you get a quiet guy, and like, yeah, I mean, so for whatever reason, I think it wasn't there, that communication. And hopefully now, each guy's much more comfortable with each other. I
think they should go to IHOP together.
And when you go to IHOP, you could take this show with you. Because if you can't catch a Slide 5 Minutes on demand on Arizona Sports app and ArizonaSports.com, wherever you get your podcast. The Bickley Marotta Show podcast brought to you by YRefi. Don't let private student loan debt ruin your life. Go to YRefi.com. That's YREFY.
On the other side.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.